What is up, YouTube? My name is Eben, and today we're going to take a look at a deck that I'm actually quite fond of, and I think a lot of other people are pretty interested by too, and that is Mega Scizor EX. For a Mega, he's got a pretty inexpensive attack, his Iron Crusher. 2 metal energies, it deals 120 damage, and you have the option to discard a special energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon or a stadium card in play. And needless to say, that's actually pretty useful. Some decks are especially reliant on their stadiums, such as Night March, which really needs to have their Dimension Valley out, so getting rid of that every turn can potentially be devastating to them. And with 220 HP and a Psychic Resistance, this guy can definitely be problematic for decks like that too. Not to mention anybody who relies on Special Energy, which is quite a few decks out there right now that rely on things like Double Colorless Energy, Double Dragon Energy, Strong Energy, etc. They really don't want to deal with this guy's ability to just peel it off their Pokemon. No coin flips, no nothing involved, just every turn. But the fact that he only costs 2 metal for this attack, which is easily a 2-hit KO on pretty much everything, is something we really aim to take advantage of in this deck by comboing him with Bronzong and other items, other things such as, say, Max Potion and AZ, so that we can deny knockouts and keep the pressure on our opponent and kind of take a really controlling route to victory. Now, we are also running 3 Scizor EX to go with our 3 Mega Scizors, and this guy's got some decent potential too. As Gale Thrust, he can switch in and out and still deal some some adequate damage. So he's nice, and he's worthy of mention as an attacker potentially too. Partner in crime here is going to be Bronzong, and the idea is we can retreat Mega Scizor out, heal him up, power him right back up with a pair of Bronzongs, and get him right back into battle on the next turn. Basically, we're going to be switching 2 Mega Scizors in and out with each other. This guy's ability to power up your Pokemon very quickly and easily and allow you to flexibly discard your energy to various things is kind of the heart and soul of this and many metal decks. We're also running 3 Bronzor, the one with Payback, because he might just be able to do a little damage with his attack potentially. Our backup attacker is Aegislash EX. Just as we're hating on special energies with Mega Scizor, this guy just absolutely hates them. I mean, as in they can't even touch him for damage if they've got any attached at all, which makes this guy a very big obstacle for some decks, as a number of decks right now run literally nothing but special energies. So damaging this guy is pretty much impossible for them, which means it's easier for you to engineer a board situation where your opponent pretty much has to concede. And that's awesome. Plus, his Slash Blast allows us probably the biggest potential damage of the deck. So he's a pretty awesome secondary attacker. Our other Pokemon here is Shaman EX. We got 2 because he's a good basic Pokemon we can fetch to help set up and make sure our cards stay consistent and we can draw and get what we need to do what we want to do. Supporter-wise, we're running 3 Sycamores, which may seem a little surprising, but kind of the way the deck has worked out, we only need the 3. And running more of these just kind of gets in the way and you end up discarding things you don't want to discard necessarily. So I'm opting for 3. You can definitely try to engineer a 4th in, but I kind of like 3 myself. And part of the reason is we're running 3 Pokemon fan clubs here. And this gets 2 basic Pokemon from your deck and adds them to your hand. Now you might say, like so many other people, oh, why not run Bridget? Bridget can get 3. Well, Bridget can get 3, but only when they're not EXs, and we're pretty EX heavy, as you may have noticed. And Bridget also puts them onto the field. Now, while Bridget can get an EX instead of the 3 basics, she, of course, cannot put them in your hand. She puts them on the field. So Pokemon Fan Club can actually help us set up our Bronzors, but it can also go get us a Shaman EX, which means you can literally go get a basic Pokemon like a Bronzor to set up on your bench, and at the same time also get access to card draw in addition to that setup via Shaman. So just because we're only running 3 Sycamores, it doesn't mean we're not running supporters that represent card draw, because essentially Pokemon Fan Club does represent card draw. And we're running 3 basically because we do want these early game. This is our ideal turn 1 supporter pretty much, so that we can set up our Bronzors like I said, get a Scizor if we need it, and definitely look for Shaman. Our other supporters, we're running 1 AZ, because it just makes a lot of sense with our deck and the way we're trying to combo around with Mega Scizor. We got Lysander for all the obvious reasons, and of course it's relevant to mention that Mega Scizor can one-shot Shaman EX. And we do have Hexmania because things like Giratina EX can be a bit problematic for us, and Wobbuffet's a little bit of a problem. So Hexmaniac can kind of turn those off for a turn for us, let us do what we need to do. So she kind of does have to be in here. Item-wise, well, rather non-supporter, trainer-wise, you know what I mean? We're running 3 Scizor Spirit Links, just 1-for-1 ratio with the rest of our Mega Scizor family. I've kind of found that to be the consistent way to go. And as far as Versus Seekers, we're of course running 4 because we want to maximize our potential out of the discard pile there. And speaking of the discard pile, we're running 3 Battle Compressors to try to get those metal energies down for Bronzong ASAP. And also set us up with Versus Seeker targets to make sure we, well, like I've been saying, do what we need to do. It doesn't take that much explanation, I guess, but just in case you don't know how that goes by now, that's how that goes. We're running 4 Ultra Balls. These can ditch us metal energies, and we're definitely going to be targeting our Mega Scizors and Bronzongs primarily with these because we've got the Pokemon fan clubs. But get what you need to get. It still sets Shaman up beautifully. So we are running 3 Trainers Male. We just didn't quite have room for a 4th, and 3 is absolutely fine. Gets us what we need to find out of the deck, and it helps keep our supporters consistent and things like that. So it's just a really nice utility card for us. We're running 3 Max Potions, which is more or less pretty much enough. Because once again, our kind of the idea is to retreat Mega Scizor out for somebody else. Max Potion him up to totally heal him, and then have Bronzong set him back up. So we are running 3 of that. We've got 2 Float Stones. These are good to slap down on those Bronzongs so they're not Lysander bait for our opponent. Can help get him out of trouble, and then that way if somebody does get knocked out, you can always put Bronzong up until you play your turn out and then retreat him out for somebody. Yeah, just use him as a good pivot. We do have 1 Super Rod just in case we have to ditch some of our evolutions, especially early game. This can let us kind of fish them back out so that we can go get them again. Pretty useful there when we're so reliant on Bronzong. And we've got 2 Steel Shelters just to make sure that status is not a big issue for us. Because otherwise status can be kind of a problem. So try to play these a little conservatively. Don't play them unless you're in the situation where you really need them. Unless, of course, your opponent isn't really utilizing status, in which case it's still a really nice counter stadium. And at 2, it's not going to be so many that gets in your way or anything like that, because we don't really need it, but it's a very useful card nonetheless. And finally, metal energy-wise, all our energies are metal energies, and we are running 10. This is quite enough since we are planning to recur them quite a bit. So that is the way to go. And that is the whole deck, guys. Until next time, if you could smash that like button, I'd sure appreciate it. Be sure to comment and subscribe while you're at it. That way you can keep getting cool stuff from me. And if you want to get updates the second stuff comes out and find out about when I'll be playing in tournaments and more, you can always go down below, look in that link. In the description, you will find me on Twitter there, and I like to tweet stuff out periodically, let you guys know what's going down, and that way, like I say, you can find stuff out first before anybody else. And until next time, I will see you then.